the immediate one that we kind of talked about, moving on from Alex Van Pelt, so they have an offensive coordinator opening to fill. That's obviously the next decision. Andrew Berry asked about that.
I understand that that's a topic of interest, the coaching staff in general. Quite honestly, we're not going to comment on that in detail until the 24 coaching staff is finalized, and then all those questions will be answered at the appropriate time.
What can you just, as a follow, and what are you looking for in the next offensive coordinator?
Again, Jeff, every coaching staff question we'll address that when the staff is filled. There's still too much in flux.
Even with the OC change, the plan is for Kevin to still call plays next season, correct?
Yeah, so it's a good question, Jake. I'd say number one, that's something that we always talk about every offseason and kind of the self-assessment part. Part of that depends on where we land with staff and what Kevin's preferences are. Ultimately, that's going to be his decision as he constructs the staff. We've mentioned multiple times, I think that's one of Kevin's strengths. But how that operates from year to year, that's ultimately something that we reassess.
The OC change is not connected to that potential.
I think it's important or a good idea with your coaching vacancy to have someone associated with Watson who coached him before.
Okay, I'll answer one question, Tony, on the coaching staff. You got me. All right. I don't. We're going to look for the best people. We're just going to look for the best people, and it's just as simple as that.
Scott, it was kind of interesting, so it isn't important for Deshaun Watson. They're trying to get somebody that brings in some new ideas. I don't think it had as much to do with Alex Van Pelt, them moving on from it, as they just realized they needed something to get the most out of their offense.
I think that's fair to say. Now, we don't know all the details, revolving around the Alex Van Pelt situation. I know they offered him a different position on staff. He turned it down. I think he's looking to go be a coordinator with play calling responsibility somewhere else. So I think this could benefit him as well. But, so much of this offseason, and it was the same with last season, so much of the offseason is going to be about putting Deshaun Watson in the best situation possible. Whether that's adding more weapons on offense, protecting him better, finding more coaches who have experience doing what he does best. The shotgun, the RPO, the dual threat ability of Watson, right? The run game is such a big part of what he does. I think that only makes sense to try to maximize his talents in every way possible. And I think the coaching staff is one of those ways. Now, I think Andrew Berry's right. The next coordinator doesn't need to have worked with Watson in the past, but he has to have experience with what Watson does.